Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Eusébio Venturim Wash Process Brasil from Say Coffee. And there's the box right there. And Say Coffee, based out of Brooklyn, New York, and they've featured several times on this channel before, including in our first ever video, our coffee roaster tier list, where we did put them in the amazing category. Since then, we've reviewed several boxes of their coffee, and with each one of them, we've been pretty impressed. We do enjoy the coffee that they produce. And one of the biggest benefits of this coffee roaster is they tend to have a flavor profile that's very much in line with our tastes. So anytime we go on their website, there's always something that we're curious and want to try from them. And this Brasil was definitely no exception. The biggest downside to this coffee roaster is that they are probably one of, if not the lightest roasting roasters in the United States. And as a result, that can make their coffee a little tricky to get right. That was the case with the first couple boxes we reviewed. That was the case with this box. And we're going to start discussing that. And this coffee, this right here, is day 24. So the recipe we really liked from this coffee was a 15:1 water to coffee ratio at 205 degrees. Kind of took inspiration from the Le Cabra we reviewed recently with these kind of lighter coffees. That turned out to be what we enjoyed the most. We experimented with it a lot as we discussed this with a lot of people, and they offered a lot of recipes. This is the one we settled on, thought was our favorite, thought was best for this coffee. Brewed through the Chemex, of course, and this is a light American for the roast profile. And with that out of the way, let's start discussing this coffee. So much to this coffee, of course. Some people say don't drink it before 2 weeks. I think it even says best after 2 weeks on the box itself, so day 14 is a little early. Some people said they won't touch this coffee until after 3 weeks of it being roasted. So day 13, very early, and you can kind of tell trying it first impression. Definitely too early for the coffee. Kind of a lemon finish, traditional Brazil components to it. Nutty, probably most akin to a chocolate. Not the most positive first impression. Probably us pushing it a little too early on that one. Day 14 went back and instantaneously knew adjustments were needed. And this is, again, what makes Say tricky is they're super light, so you are going to need to adjust this coffee quite a bit. Tame, mostly nutty forward, not getting too much. And this was the first thing we tried. We lowered the temperature, increased the ratio, so a higher coffee ratio on this one, and it was significantly increased. A bit more of some citrus fruits, a bit more florals, a lot more enjoyable on day 16. Combination of more time, different ratio, different recipe, just made the coffee a lot better. Tried a different recipe. Somebody had suggested just off the boil, so we tried a 210 degrees Fahrenheit at 18:1. Yeah, and it created a super sour. I mean, a very high extraction on this coffee, but it was super sour. Not quite as enjoyable. Made some more adjustments again. Went back on day 20, lower ratio, and it was on day 20, this coffee was really, really shining, coming through very nicely. I describe it as almost some lemon heads and some delicate florals, tart, but a very nice cup of coffee. And day 22, kind of final thoughts. Liked it the most with this stronger ratio for sure. Lower temperatures, some super dominant lemon coffee, kind of like a tart lemonade at the end, with some slight floral sweetness. Overall, pretty lively. And day 24, this coffee is getting better, so there is some merit to what people say, wait at least 3 weeks with Say Coffee, because it was best on day 22. It's getting better on day 24. Wish we had some more coffee to tell you what it was like on day 26, day 28, and so on. I would say that this day 24 is probably the best day of this coffee, as the lemon has died down ever so slightly, and you're getting a lot more, there's some slight fruits that are coming through a little better. So the blueberry note that they listed on here, definitely more prominent on this day. Some sweetness, both from, seems like some floral sweetness as well as some berry sweetness, while dying down just ever so slightly on that super dominant lemon. This is quite nice. I really like this. All right, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what we were getting. And of course the citrus fruit level 4, because the lemon was dominant. Pretty acidic cup of coffee, pretty lasting finish, not the sweetest. Florals, level 3, berry fruit level 3. I think that berry fruit probably should have been level 2, honestly, but today, on this day, it's definitely a level 3. You might even be able to convince me to turn up the sweetness to level 3 on this day as well. Cleanliness might even go up to level 4, and this is what I'm saying. What people said about waiting at least 3 weeks and then kind of working with it from 3 weeks on, there's probably some great merits to it, because I think this coffee, it's great right now, and it could be even better in the future. And even the tasting wheel, just 2 days apart, probably looks a little different. Bitterness, that's fine because it's got a little bit of this lemon bitterness. Spice, not too much else. Still on the body. For the most part, some slight tweaks here and there, but I think I do like the way that this tasting wheel looks. Alright, my thoughts and impressions of this coffee as well as Say. I think I do have to mention that every single time I do try Say's coffees, once I get them right, I really enjoy their coffees. And they are probably somewhere in my top 10 favorite American roasters. Every so often they can push that top 5 category, and for being as light as they are quite enjoyable, especially when we get them right. So I would say that this goes in line with my previous experiences with Say, that it always turns out better than I hope and expect, and that's a huge positive. This Brazil is my favorite Brazil of the year, and I don't drink a whole lot of Brazils, but you could probably convince me that this isn't even a Brazil if you just served this to me blind and said, tell me where this is from. Ooh, I might guess some really light done Kenya or even some Ethiopia, because this coffee tastes a little bit more in line with an African than it does with a Brazil. So I really enjoyed this coffee. I really enjoy Say, and the type of people I would suggest this coffee to is people that do like a challenge and people that do like a lot of lemon. I think that they sold out of this coffee. Say goes through their coffees really quick, so it's really hard for me to review a coffee and have it still be available for somebody to purchase, as they just rotate through their coffees very fast. That being said, any of Say's coffees, I've never been disappointed by one of their coffees I've purchased. They are tricky, they are complex, and you do have to work with them to get them right. But once you get them right, they're really well done. They're really enjoyable, and yeah, I think for the most part I will leave it at that, as I'm sure I will be reviewing some more Say coffees here sometime in the future, if not really soon. If you by chance tried any of Say's coffees recently, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions of them. I've heard so many people say they're as tricky as they are, so do you agree with that assessment? Are they one of the trickiest roasters to get right? If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a review of the Eusébio Venturim Wash Process Brazil from Say Coffee. Thank you for watching.